From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and now it's time for the nation's sharpest opinion. This, ladies and gentlemen, in my hand is how the Americans put out the picture of a person called Sajid Mir, most wanted terrorist, as you can see here. Some say 47 years old, 46 to 47 years old, Pakistani citizen, mastermind of the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai. His voice was on the tapes. Many of you have heard those voices. At the time of the terror attacks, the Pakistani who was giving instructions, the main handler for the terrorists. He's a most wanted terrorist, and it is most unfortunate that China has joined hands with Pakistan to try and protect him. What exactly has China done? Well, China has used its power, or should I rather say misused its power, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council to officially veto a resolution to designate this man, Sajid Mir, as a global terrorist under the UN Security Council 1267 committee. Now, why is China doing this? China is doing this to simply hurt India. But I think what China is doing is, it is effectively hurting its own image. It has become an open sponsor of terrorism. While China supports terrorism, and there's no doubt about it, it supports terrorist groups operating against India. This is the first time that China is coming out openly as a supporter of terrorism, which means that today, one, China supports terrorism. Two, China officially supports terrorism and violence against India. It has gone on record about the fact. And thirdly, China has made it clear that it is willing to misuse its position in the UN Security Council in its continuous pursuit of finding ways and means to support terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, these are mistakes that nations make when they begin to get desperate. China is desperate, and it wants to do anything possible to torpedo India's great global power game. However, we know it's not going to make a difference. We should, however, ask the Chinese what is driving this desperation and whether they don't know where and how it's going to end. Let's debate.
After China blocked a proposal at the United Nations Security Council to blacklist terrorists and 26/11 attacks accused Sajid Mir,
China has blocked a proposal by India and US at the United Nations to designate Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Sajid Mir, wanted for his involvement in the 26/11 terrorist attacks, as a global terrorist. Your reaction on that, please?
So on your first question, I think I just our belief in that designation, I think, speaks for itself.
At a high-level United Nations conference on counter-terrorism, India hit back.
He was listed as a proscribed terrorist under the national laws of India. He was proscribed under the laws of the United States, this host country, and of several other countries globally, many of whose nationals lost their lives. But when the proposal for listing him did not go through the Security Council sanctions regime, we had strong reasons to believe that something was genuinely wrong in the global sanctions regime, as manifested in the Security Council.
India put out an audio recording of Sajid Mir guiding fellow terrorists to ensure maximum casualties in Mumbai in 2008.
तो जो जहाँ पे आपको मूवमेंट नजर आती है, बंदा किस छत पे चल रहा है, कोई आ रहा है जा रहा है, उसको फाइट ठोको। उसे नहीं पता यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है। इंशाल्लाह। तो जो जहाँ पे आपको मूवमेंट नजर आती है, बंदा किस छत पे चल रहा है, कोई आ रहा है जा रहा है, उसको फाइट ठोको। उसे नहीं पता यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है। इंशाल्लाह।
China has betrayed its fears about the Modi-Biden visit again and again. But Pakistan should remember, China can only shield it for so long. After all, China has become a victim of Pakistani terror in Pakistan.
It is extremely wrong, and we will not allow any kind of disturbance in this friendship. Come what may, we will cut their hands and will stop them from creating any difference between us. This will not happen. This shall not happen, and this will not happen.
The Pakistan-China bonhomie is no match for India. Let's debate.
Victor Gao, if you officially support a terrorist group, you officially support a terrorist, it has consequences and you become a terrorist nation. I hope you understand what I am saying and what you're doing. If you're supporting a global terrorist and you're misusing your position in the UN Security Council for that, it is something to be ashamed of. That you have gone down to this level and that you're willing to fall to this level. Why would you compromise your international standing by supporting terrorists, global terrorists, officially in international forums, Mr. Gao?
Thank you very much for having me. You know for sure, as much as I do, China has been a victim of cross-border international terrorism for decades. And China works closely with all the other countries, hopefully with India as well as Pakistan, in hunting down terrorists. On the other hand, it is completely up to China to decide, as a sovereign country, how it wants to define a terrorist group according to its own criteria, according to its own definition. No country should expect that you can force China to make a decision according to your definition. Therefore, if China casts a vote, whatever way, in the Security Council of the United Nations, no country is entitled to condemn China for exercising its legitimate right as a permanent member state of the United Nations.
No, sir, you have no such legitimate right.
China is doing what it's supposed to do. Whether you agree with China's decision or not, that's not a decision. But to call China as a supporter of terrorism is completely mischaracterizing the situation.
Sir, I'll tell you, your situation today is much like that it was of the Taliban in the past. You know, they used to, at some point of time, support Osama bin Laden. But would you not call Osama bin Laden a terrorist? Sajid Mir,
Bin Laden has been universally condemned.
Sajid Mir was overseeing a terrorist operation and has been caught on record overseeing a terrorist operation which has killed hundreds of people in India. Mr. Parthsarthi is joining us from Delhi, Ambassador Parthsarthi. Victor Gao, senior strategic affairs and geopolitical expert, says from Beijing, he says, it doesn't matter, we don't think Sajid Mir is a terrorist. And we have a right to decide who is a terrorist or not. You have no right to question us, he says. Mr. Parthsarthi.
Well, this is a new definition of diplomacy by the Chinese. Sajid Mir has been categorized as an international terrorist. The Pakistanis have refused to take action against him, and any conviction against him in Pakistan is meaningless. The real fact is he's roaming around. And the Chinese have been the only country, and let me tell my Chinese friend, the reason for the interest in the Mumbai attack was it was not just citizens of Indians who were killed. Citizens of foreign countries were killed by these Pakistani terrorists. So all these foreign countries, there are at least 5 of them, back us and back us in the UN Security Council and anywhere when their own citizens are involved. Whereas China seems to have a law for itself. You're not offending only an India-Pakistan thing. This was an act of international terrorism. The name terrorist, Sajid Mir, has been declared as an international terrorist by the United States, which means the British and the European Union follow suit. So I'm afraid this is a new definition of terrorism by China. But, this sort of thing of, treating terrorists like heroes can land China in serious trouble.
No, it is already going to get into trouble. They are.
Can I say something?
The
Let
whole
me say
world
something,
knows.
please.
Hamid?
No. There has been evidence provided of the involvement of the
To make a
ISI
point.
directly to the world
Let me,
of wireless exchanges. So if China wants to
Thank
take
you.
this position,
Yes,
we will
I
have to
will say-
reconsider the entire relationship with China because
Yeah.
it's supporting terrorism.
Okay. I will say, can I say something, Arnab, for a minute, please? I will say, India, China has rightly vetoed this, resolution because China knows that India is the only country who is mastermind false flag operations such as 26/11, Pulwama, Uri. And India is the only country which government is supporting false flag operations to blame other countries
Okay,
and
where is
other,
Sajid Mir?
states.
Gaurav Arya, let me take it directly with him.
How can-
Gaurav and Glenn
it's a
Khan.
fact.
Where is Sajid Mir, Hamid?
Let me tell you one thing.
Where is Sajid Mir? Where is, cut the chase, where is Sajid Mir? Where is Sajid Mir? Where is Sajid Mir?
Let me tell you one
Where
thing.
is, no,
China
let me
has
tell you is
used
not an answer.
their right.
If you want to tell me,
China has used their right
don't keep
to
saying,
veto
let me tell you.
because
Where is
India
Sajid Mir?
India is falsely accused.
Where is Sajid Mir?
Okay,
Do you really think that...
I want to,
audio is
Arnab, can I make a point? Otherwise, Hamid will keep on
without
speaking,
any
Arnab.
forensic. Without
Arnab,
any
he will keep on
forensic, without anything.
Arnab, he will
audio,
keep on speaking
the
till 11
basis of
o'clock.
Audio call.
This man has the ability to speak without taking a breath for 1 hour.
I'm not naming.
He'll keep on
Sajid
talking,
Mir.
Arnab.
I'm saying about
So I can only speak when he keeps quiet.
State terrorist.
Hamid Khan, I'll request you to breathe, please. My request is, my request to you is please breathe so others can speak. Sir, please breathe. Please breathe, sir. Now, with your permission, I would like to speak, sir. Now, I have 2 points to make, and very quickly, Arnab, I shall make both these points. Mr. Gao, I don't know how China is even related or China is even interested in Sajid Mir or Maulana Masood Azhar. You have done the same for Maulana Masood Azhar in the United Nations Security Council. You have defended a terrorist who India says is a terrorist. India has provided proof, number one. And this person or both these people have harmed India multiple times. Now, you're doing it because you're protecting the Pakistanis. I know why you're doing it. You're protecting the Pakistanis. And as far as Hamid Khan saying that, India is doing this and that, Hamid Khan, your country has been on the FATF 3-4 times. Last time you were in FATF for 4 years.
Because of Indians false flag
Hold on.
against Pakistan.
See, if India is conspiring against you, do you mean to say that the Pakistanis are stupid and they can't do their own conspiracies? It takes a certain intellect to do conspiracies.
It is about the unfair
listen to me.
treatment of the wealthy countries against Pakistan.
Hold on.
It is not being stupid. It is about the unfair treatment of the better
Allow me to
countries.
complete, please. Hamid Khan, if you don't allow me to speak, I can promise you I will not allow you to speak ever on Republic TV, ever. So please give me 30 seconds to complete, and don't be this thing, be mindful of manners, We are conducting this in a civilized manner. So Pakistan is a country that has been routinely put in the FATF grey list. Pakistan is a country that is not trusted by the Taliban. Arnab, these guys put the Taliban ambassador to Islamabad in jail by taking money from the Americans. And that gentleman wrote a book called My Time with the Taliban, in which he writes, a Taliban ambassador writes that the Pakistanis are two-faced. They have 2 tongues and 1 mouth, and with each tongue they speak a different language. Right? Now, coming back to Mr. Gao. Mr. Gao, you support terrorists who are known global terrorists. Pakistan has never been true to anybody. Pakistanis are not true to Pakistan. The day is not far when these guys will stab you in your back. You have a very major problem brewing in Xinjiang province because of your own shenanigans. And the Pakistanis will take advantage because these guys are not in Pakistan's control any longer. And Hamid Mir should think twice before coming on an Indian TV channel and speaking, because Hamid Mir, you go to town and tell the world that you have lost $100 billion and 80,000 Pakistanis killed. Who are these Pakistanis? These are your people killing your people because you love terrorism.
No, they have started.
You love terrorism, Hamid.
One minute.
You always cry and say that 80,000 Pakistanis have been killed. Who has killed these 80,000 Pakistanis?
No, 1 minute. Hamid, I like the point he made there. Glenn Carl, it's dangerous territory, and I think we know the Pakistanis. They are known global offenders.
Let me reply.
One minute. We know the Pakistanis, Glenn. They are a country which gives a walkover to anyone who throws a few dollars at them. They don't respect themselves. They have, sold their strategic position to every highest bidder over the years, and today there's nobody to bid for them. They're a bankrupt country, and their chief export is to donkeys, and that also a substantial number of donkeys for donkey meat and whatever other purposes donkeys are used for are sent to China. Now, the question being, what would you say to the Chinese, Glenn? They are openly saying, we don't believe in terrorism that kills people. We support Masood Azhar. They are protecting Abdul Rauf Asghar. They are supporting Abdul Rahman Makki. They are supporting Syed Salahuddin. They are supporting Azam Chima. They are supporting Sajid Mir. They are openly supporting some of the most dangerous terrorists in the world.
Well,
Glenn,
I wouldn't say actually that China is seeking to support jihadism or Sajid Mir or even Pakistan in this case, although Pakistan is an ally. I think really what is going on are two things. One is largely a bilateral issue, and the other is an observation about the international system and what China thinks of it. So Sajid Mir is a momentary tool, an opportunity for China to put a wrench in the works for India momentarily. There are bilateral issues between China and India, two of the great powers on Earth, which have tensions and issues between them. And here's an opportunity for China to frustrate, sort of gratuitously, really, Indian objectives. I'm sure in an objective sense, the Chinese recognize, as well as anyone, except perhaps the Pakistani government, that Sajid Mir is a terrorist. So that's really what's going on in a bilateral sense. And the fact that he's a terrorist and that he's in Pakistan, those things are sort of secondary to the larger issue. The second point is that this is really an observation, or it provides an insight on China's approach to international relations. And they view it as transactional and a series of bilateral relations that are calibrations of power between and among states, rather than embracing the ideal, always imperfect, but the ideal of a normative system, which does have a process to identify international terrorists. And this is just cynically ignoring that, because China has an opportunity to create a little headache for India. So that's really what's going on. And Pakistan is almost irrelevant to the issue.
But what are the consequences? It won't change the reality. What are the consequences?
Absolutely. The consequences are that it undermines the imperfect, always imperfect, international system that does have laws, does have processes to identify terrorists, and tries to establish some way to bring them to justice. So yes, it does have the effect of undermining the international order, which substantiates a point that many have been making, which is that China really seeks to have a series of different scaled arrangements among states, rather than a normative system that would constrain China or
Allow me
anyone
to
else.
make a point.
No, yes, Victor, your,
allow me to make a point.
Victor,
Allow me to make a point very quickly.
Victor, don't support terrorism so openly. It looks bad for you. First of all, you should believe in the rules-based global order. There is a rules-based global order. Don't get into, Victor, it does not befit a person of your erudition to come on a TV program and support terrorism just because you have to. Would you call Osama bin Laden, going by your first argument, a non-terrorist because Osama did not fly the planes that crashed into the towers? Think logically.
Allow me to make a point,
no,
sir.
I will allow you, but I hope you don't embarrass yourself. Thank you.
No, I would never embarrass myself, but allow me to
You are heading in that direction.
I personally, as well as China, strongly condemn terrorism of all shapes.
No, you are supporting terrorism
China,
of
India,
every shape
Pakistan,
on my program.
I do hope China, Pakistan, India can set up a working group to talk about cross-border terrorism.
Stop trying to be clever about it. Stop trying to be clever about it.
Talking about the international
Stop
order,
trying to be clever about it.
a permanent member state of the United Nations Security Council to decide how to vote in its own discretion is part of the international order itself.
It's not.
If anyone questions a permanent member state of the United Nations Security Council, how to make a decision
so
to
you're
vote,
lucky to be in the Security Council. There are going to be many other countries there soon. You should lose your singular veto position.
You need to respect the decision of any of
Yeah, Major Janjua. Major Janjua.
No, Major. How to decide to vote.
No,
it's a decision for that permanent member state to
Major Janjua, don't get excited. Don't get excited, Major Janjua. This does not change the reality. This does not change your reality. You will still not get an IMF loan. You will still have to export donkeys. You will still not have enough food. You have a food shortage in Karachi right now.
Arnab,
you have to understand Toyota has left.
Toyota
has left. Suzuki has left. Every respectable country has left. You are sinking as a nation. So I just wanted to give you that sobering reality before you proceed. Yes,
right.
Major,
Arnab,
please.
Can I speak now? Can I speak now?
Yes,
with your kind permission.
Yes.
Now, I think it's a wake-up call for you and a rude awakening for you. I'm not even going to refer to what the Chinese representative has said in the beginning. I'll only refer to you what the US view has been given to you by Glenn, that Pakistan is irrelevant in this whole equation that you are trying to create on your program.
Where is Sajid
Pakistan
Mir?
Is not.
Tell Gaurav Arya, where is Sajid Mir?
Hold on. Don't run away.
Where is Sajid Mir?
Let me.
I am not.
I will tell you where is it.
I am not.
You know it more
Do
than
you
I
remember China's U-turn on Masood Azhar?
No.
Do you remember China's U-turn on Abdul Rahman Makki?
You are referring to Americans, that Americans launched this resolution in the Security Council. So I hope you have not forgotten that your dear Prime Minister was not even allowed to enter the US soil before he became the Prime Minister because he was the terrorist of Gujarat.
No, one minute. Watch your words! Watch your words, Mr. Pakistani!
You watch your
words, Mr. Pakistani! Watch your words, Pakistani! Listen to me, Mr. Pakistani. Now, 1 minute. You watch your words. You watch your words. You're burning right now. It's your burn all moment. It's your burn all moment. You have no verbal hygiene in this matter. The Prime Minister of India is on a state visit, and you are the world's largest and singular exporter of donkeys.
You dare not sit here on the
You are the largest exporter of donkeys in the world. It's a reality. Now tell me, Sajid Mir, tell me Sajid Mir supporter, tell me Hafiz Saeed supporter, tell me Dawood Ibrahim supporter, tell me Dawood Ibrahim supporter. I'm asking you today, is Osama bin Laden a terrorist? You're sounding so silly and stupid, on the program. And I know your burning heart because you put down your arms in 1971. A little personal glimpse into your background. You were leading a contingent that surrendered before the Indian Army in 1971. And that's why you carry that hurt in your heart. And you have been intellectually constipated ever since.
Your Prime Minister has confessed his involvement.
Now, Mr. Janjua, Gaurav can respond to you. Gaurav, thank you. Volume down. Gaurav.
Arnab, I just want to tell this Pakistani one thing, Number one, I don't know why he's so fascinated by, all these Pakistanis are so fascinated by a US visa. Okay? This is the same United States that they stabbed behind the back after taking American dollars. And all of these beggars stand in line outside the US embassy waiting for the visa. For them, it is like something that has come from the heavens, a US visa. Oh, your prime minister was denied a US visa. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Relax. The question here is different. The question here is, Osama bin Laden was found in your country. Number two, all the Al-Qaeda leadership was found /trained in Pakistan. Number three, this is documented. If you read the bear trap written by a Pakistani brigadier, hold your horses, sir. Hold your horses. Pakistanis have written on record that they trained terrorists inside Afghanistan. Between 1979 and 89, you took money from the United States. You are the people who have been in FATF 4 times. You should not even be speaking. All you should say is sorry. You should say, sorry, I'm a Pakistani. I'm ashamed I'm a Pakistani. I'm sorry in my next birth. If I get a next birth, I will try not to be a Pakistani. Now, listen to me. Listen to me. No, we are not doing anything. Keep quiet. No, listen to me. Now, I want to tell you one thing. This Chinese guy who's supporting you,
Victor Gao is his name. Let him bring on the screen. Bring him on the screen. Victor Gao.
Let me have a word. Let me have a word.
God of us is Victor Gao.
I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Gao. Mr. Victor Gao.
Calm down.
Mr. Victor Gao.
Calm down. Calm down.
Mr. Victor Gao.
Calm down.
Please tell your slave to calm down. Please tell your slave to calm down. Please,
let me have a word.
I want to tell.
With due respect to my Indian panelists, let me have a word.
Mr. Gao.
So long as China supports Pakistani, Pakistan will never be sinking down. Pakistan will always survive in glory and splendor. Because you keep on giving
money to the Pakistanis.
That's for sure.
You keep on giving money to the Pakistanis, Mr. Gao.
Respect that.
You keep on giving money to the Pakistanis. On their own, Pakistanis can't survive for 1 month. You know that very well. These beggars can't survive without Chinese money.
With due respect,
I don't live in
allow me to emphasize
your
one point.
army chief is a beggar.
With China,
your army chief has been begging money from the
Pakistan
Chinese.
will always
That's not
live in
friendship.
splendor and glory. That's for sure. That's the mega
this
trend.
Pakistani army major
The
is your
Indian
slave.
friends should
What
recognize
friendship are you
that
talking about?
and accept
you
that.
give money to the Pakistanis. They take money from everybody. They're taking money from the Chinese. They're taking money from the Saudis. They're taking money from the Emiratis. They're taking money from the Americans. They're taking money from the World Bank. They're taking money from the IMF. What glory? What glory?
What is your problem?
What glory are you talking about, Mr. Gao? What glory are you talking about?
What glory? No, Mr. Gao. Mr. Gao, let me tell you, Mr. Gao. Mr. Gao, 1 minute. My point is, Mr. Gao, listen to me now. It's time for you to listen to me. You are shielding Sajid Mir. You are shielding terrorists. You are a global supporter of terrorism. You are turning yourself into a terrorist nation. Now, 3 Chinese researchers were killed at the Confucius Institute at the University of Karachi by the same terrorists. And you also know, 1 minute. Now your blood is going to burn with what I'm about to say to you. Listen to me. The same Sajid Mir. 1 minute. Victor Gao, listen to me. The same Sajid Mir supported the group that killed 10 Chinese nationals. And 26 others were injured. 26 others were injured in a terror attack on a bus in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The same Sajid Mir was at the center of planning. Listen to me, Victor Gao. This same Sajid Mir was involved in the planning of the terror attack in which 10 Chinese nationals were killed. You need to understand, you are supporting people who are killing your citizens. Shame on you for supporting. Shame on you for that, Victor Gao. Shame on you. You have no self-respect left. You go and support the terrorists at your own peril. Yes.
Well, you cannot just keep on talking. You do not allow me to speak.
I just told you. I told you what Sajid Mir did. and you're supporting him. I've never seen a country like this, like China, which does things like this.
Shall I say something, or do you want me to sign off? Shall I say something?
No, if you can't answer, you can sign off.
Give me your ears. Listen to me.
Sure, but he has organized the killing of Chinese researchers, Chinese nationals on Pakistani soil, and you're supporting him at the UN Security Council. Well done.
I salute Mr. Gao for giving you the right answer.
Listen to me.
Don't get desperate.
We condemn terrorism. China, India, and Pakistan should set up a working group to talk about cooperation in dealing with terrorism.
Gaurav
of cross-border terrorism.
Oh God,
so
you have
cannot
hope in hell.
Mischaracterize China, and we condemn terrorism. And I hope China can broker a peace deal between India and Pakistan.
There is absolutely no question of India sitting with Pakistan because Pakistan is a terror state. We do not sit with terrorists to discuss terrorism.
I can see the reaction of Gaurav Arya. Gaurav Arya, give me a few minutes. Give me a few seconds.
Pakistan
give me a few
is a glorious nation.
Pakistan
you cannot say Pakistan is a terrorist state. That's a mischaracterization.
Pakistan is a terrorist state, and unfortunately,
one minute. Gaurav, 1 minute. Victor Gao, 1 minute. I am shocked that you support an action, a terrorist act in which 166 people were killed, 108 people died on reaching the hospital, 68 died from bullet injuries, 30 from blast injuries, 10 from blast and bullet injuries, and you are supporting that. Shame on you, Victor Gao, for coming on an Indian channel and supporting a terrorist so openly.
No, you don't. You don't condemn terrorism, you support it.
Do you have ears, boys, gentlemen?
He showed you. Let me tell you one thing. Mr. Gao, I will salute Mr. Gao for showing you the reality
as a terrorist, you should not even speak.
Pakistan.
Ahmed, as a terrorist supporter, I don't think you should speak.
Mr. Patsati.
I don't think you should speak, Ahmed. As
Mr.
a terrorist supporter,
I want you to come back on this. You've seen the hard position taken by the Chinese. This is an issue. We should escalate it.
I think
we have to take it on.
Shown you the real face that you will dream that Pakistan will bankrupt or anything.
He is your master. You are his slave. There is a master-slave relationship between China and Pakistan. Your army chief goes and begs. Your prime minister goes and begs in front of the Chinese. Mr. Gao, I'm warning you, don't give this man money. Mr. Gao, don't give Ahmed and that Janjua guy money. Don't give them money, I'm telling you, Mr. Gao.
Everyone else.
You're giving them money, you're spoiling them. Don't give them money. Don't give them money. No. Ahmed, I didn't give Ahmed, you are a terror supporter. Ahmed, Mr. Gao, you are giving these guys money. You're giving them money for heaven's sake. Don't give money.
Small installments.
30 minutes.
Don't do it.
Gaurav, you may add in small installments. They're not giving them much money anyway.
China will decide which country it wants to give money to. It's not you. You cannot make that decision on China's behalf.
Exactly.
Only China will decide how to spend money, how to support its friends.
China will not decide. China will not decide.
China will make.
China cannot fund terrorists.
That's international relations, ABC.
Why don't you realize you're funding terrorism?
Shame on you.
And then you're saying, no, don't keep on saying shame on you, shame on you. Shame on you for being a Pakistani. How dare you carry the green passport? You should be ashamed.
Okay, now.
Terror all over the world.
Sponsoring terrorism from Afghanistan.
Why do you give these guys money? They are terrorists. They are spreading terrorism, these guys. These Pakistanis spread terror. One day they'll blow a bomb in Beijing. They'll kill Chinese in Beijing, I'm telling you. Very dangerous.
Will you support them? Is there 1 minute? Is there any nation in the world? 1 minute. Is there any nation in the world, Gaurav, the question to ask Victor, we must tell him, there is no nation who the Pakistanis have not taken money from, who they have not blackmailed with terrorism. Gaurav is right, they will carry out terrorist attacks in China also.
What's the point?
You are feeding a snake here.
What's the point?
There is no point. There's no point in giving you money, Hamid.
I am just saying one thing.
Don't celebrate this.
That it hurts India very badly. My Chinese friends tell you that
Mr. Gao, today you're giving them money, tomorrow you will give them a visa. I'm telling you, one of these guys will go to Beijing and blow himself up. I'm telling you, they are very dangerous people. Don't feed a snake. Don't feed a snake. They will.
I would like Partha. I started with you. I want to end with you. Partha, it appears to me that the Chinese are enjoying this position. They're enjoying this moment. They believe it's a big strategic decision they have taken. They believe they're exercising their power at the UN Security Council. Your take on the medium-term impact of this position? What is the medium-term impact of such a position? Could it come back to bite the Chinese hard where it hurts?
I'll tell you what. When push comes to shove, ask the Pakistanis how much China has given them by way of free foreign exchange when they are broke. Their people are starving. They're in a deep... And I have friends in Pakistan, and I'm saying this out of sorrow and not anger. I find it desperate for a country so many years after independence cannot feed its own people. This is the situation that Pakistan has reduced itself
propaganda. Nothing like that.
By doing whatever it is doing. No, just a minute. I didn't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me because I know Pakistan.
I have been invited to say something and I can't.
Let Partha complete, please. Thank you. Let Mr. Partha complete, please. Partharthi. Yeah.
And many friends. Now let me tell you that you've reduced to yourselves for a situation where I find sorry for my friends in Pakistan, and that is genuine. You have ruined your economy. You've gone running around all over the world with a begging bowl in your hand, asking for money. So I think you should realize you have not served your own people well. Successive governments, and more particularly the interference of your army. This is point number one. And I want to tell something to my Chinese friend. My dear friend, the fact of the matter is that you are guilty of nuclear proliferation. You have supplied Pakistan with missiles which range between Delhi to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. You know, I regard that as a hostile act to India, which I will never forget or forgive. The second point is, Pakistan did not make or design those nuclear weapons. We have the designs you gave them. There is no such thing as an independent Pakistan nuclear weapons program. There is a Chinese nuclear weapons program in Pakistan. Yes, the Pakistanis used some people to develop that, but the reality is the designs and bulk of the material, except the uranium which Pakistan produces itself, is being supplied by China. China is the sole country which has been guilty of such nuclear proliferation. Passing on designs of nuclear weapons, we have those designs. How did we get those designs? AQ Khan tried to sell them to the Arabs, including the Libyans. And the Indians have access, I want to tell you, to those designs given. They were Chinese designs of nuclear weapons. So this is a rogue state. The Chinese designs supplied by AQ Khan and trying to selling them off to Arab countries.
Ahmed, hold on, let me answer. Ahmed, let me answer.
I'm talking on the basis of facts.
Okay, very carefully. The facts are.
No, I think
you talk about a rogue nation.
It is Chinese.
And the uranium
and
is actually being stolen in India.
The other fact is, doing all this, you have driven your people to desperation. They are literally starving. You can't produce enough food for yourself.
True.
Instead of concentrating on that,
who's talking?
You want to
My dear
take
sir,
on
go back
this
and look at the streets of Delhi and Mumbai.
Exercise.
By the way, Major Janjua, Major Janjua, this is not even a short-term victory for you.
They are ruled by such a set of idiots.
You are just being used right now. You're going to be dumped as always. But I think Victor Gao knows what Partha is saying to him. And Victor Gao, that comes from one of India's most distinguished diplomats, You're playing a
Right.
bad game.
I know.
You're going to burn
Allow
your
me
fingers
to
there.
say
I
a
thank
word
you
of
very
wisdom.
much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Soon the Prime Minister will be landing at, in some time, the Andrews Air Base in Washington, D.C. A red carpet has been rolled out for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and his touchdown in Washington will set into motion the most crucial leg of his visit. Here's what's lined up, and then a short debate.
So let's inhale.